In this video, I'm talking about how I tend to see top retirees spend their money and the three surprising strategies that separate the happiest and maybe even the wealthiest retirees from everyone else. Through studying the spending habits of maybe more successful retirees, let's say, I started to notice that they don't spend more money necessarily than other people, but they do spend more intentionally, maybe using some strategies that other people seem to miss. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to expose the three spending surprises that top retirees use when they maximize both their wealth and their retirement satisfaction. So let's get started. So here's the first big surprise that I've noticed from the happiest and wealthiest retirees that we've worked with. They don't start with spreadsheets, budgets, or some magic number that they think they're supposed to hit. They start with this question, and that is, what do I want my life to actually look like in retirement? So I'm talking about the travel, the time with grandkids, the hobbies, the lifestyle pace, and even the car they want to drive or the home that they want to live in. So they start there and then they work backwards to figure out how much income it's going to take to support that life. And listen, this is the part that really separates them from everybody else. They're not trying to cram their life into a random budget, right? They're designing a lifestyle first type of mindset, and then they're having a plan that supports that. So this backwards way of budgeting it really kind of helps to get really clear on two things. Number one, are my current savings actually enough to support this lifestyle? And number two, if not, well, what needs to shift? And that kind of clarity is really helpful because it means you're not guessing anymore. You're not walking around with that low-level retirement anxiety about whether you have enough. So instead, they're spending time in alignment with what actually matters to them, not just what the budget says they should be doing. And here's a really good part. So this approach, it doesn't just eliminate anxiety. It actually gives them some confidence to enjoy their money more guilt-free. They've run the numbers. They know the plan supports their life. It's not just a balance sheet. And that's why using an approach like this is just so much better than a traditional route. So instead of chasing some arbitrary number, like saving $2 million just because someone said so, they're really designing around what they want out of life. So it's spending that reflects their values, their priorities, and it gives them a roadmap to follow, not just in retirement, but also leading up to retirement too. So whether they're adjusting their savings, maybe now for the future, or maybe they're tweaking their lifestyle goals later, everything is really grounded in a plan that actually makes sense for them. And once that's in place, they can stop second guessing every purchase and they can start enjoying what they've built with confidence and more peace of mind. So backward budgeting, it really helps create really intentional spending plans. But here's the next surprise. So successful retirees, they don't just think about how much they want to spend, but they're also really intentional about when to spend it. So they front load their experiences. Top retirees often choose to spend more, especially on travel and experiences early in retirement. And that's not by accident. See, they know that those first 5 to 10 years after they retire and stop working, that's called the go-go years. You've got your health, you've got your energy, you've got your freedom, and they use it. They take big trips, they visit places they've always dreamed of, they make memories with grandkids while everyone can still hike, they can explore, and they can just be really active together. And here's why that matters. Waiting until later, it sounds smart, but for a lot of retirees, later never looks like they imagined, right? Our health changes, our energy fades, and suddenly the trip that was on the bucket list for 20 years, it's not really possible anymore, or maybe not as enjoyable. And that's why top retirees, they front load those experiences. They treat it like it's an investment, not in stocks or real estate, but it's an investment in life satisfaction. I've mentioned the book Die with Zero several times since it was published, and a key takeaway is to invest in experiences. I'm 47 years old, and in my own life, like my wife and I, we never hesitate to spend money on things that create moments with our loved ones or moments with each other. And this is something that I've learned from being involved in the lives with the people that we work with. They really know that those experiences are going to pay off in what I call memory dividends, right? Stories, photos, and the moments that they're going to treasure for decades because they made the most of those early years. And that brings us to the real mindset shift here. So while some folks maybe hold back out of fear because they're worried that they'll run out of money, top retirees, they recognize that joy and meaning are just as important as financial preservation. So they're not being reckless. They've done the math. They've planned for it. They've aligned their spending with the stage of life where they're going to get the most return for them. It's in joy. It's not just in dollars. And let me say this. I've never had a client tell me that they regretted going to Italy in their 60s, but I've had plenty wish that they had gone before their knees gave them issues. There's a lot of walking when you go to places in Europe. So if you're in or approaching retirement and you're wondering when's the right time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, this might be it. So if you're listening to this and you think, well, that makes a lot of sense, right? I want to do a lot more of that type of stuff in retirement, then be sure to check out the link below in the video description. We've created a full step-by-step video to show you exactly how to build a retirement plan that helps you to front load your experiences and maintain peace of mind. And that brings us to our third surprise. So surprise number 3 is top retirees diversify their spending sources for steady cash flow. So top retirees, they don't just focus on what they spend or when they spend it, but they also think strategically about where their money comes from. And the best ones, they don't rely on a single income stream. They diversify their spending sources to create reliable, steady cash flow and to minimize taxes in the process. And here's what that looks like. So they start with a foundation of stable income, things like Social Security, pensions, and in some cases, maybe they have some sources of stable income like rentals or mineral rights or something like that. And that covers a good portion of their essentials, right? Their housing, their food, their insurance, the non-negotiables. But then on top of that, they layer in flexible withdrawals from their investment portfolios. And that's what gives them the freedom to travel, to spoil the grandkids, to take up hobbies, you name it. And why is that such a smart move? Because the combination of both of those things provides the best of both worlds. So on the one hand, you've got some predictability. Markets could be up or down, but their basic lifestyle doesn't get rattled. And that's really giving you a lot of peace of mind. But on the other hand, they still have the upside potential, that room to adjust and maybe opportunities come up or as inflation creeps in. And, this is where it gets really interesting because by pulling income from different sources and from doing it strategically, they're also managing their tax bracket more effectively. So they can mix and match withdrawals from tax-deferred accounts, Roths, or even taxable brokerage accounts in a way that helps them to navigate taxes wisely. So really the bottom line is that this diversification isn't just about diversifying investments, it's also about diversifying your spending strategy. So having a good spending strategy is about what gives really these top retirees the confidence to live more fully because they know that their cash flow, it's steady and it's optimized. So they're not really crossing their fingers, hoping that the market holds because they've built a system that gives them both the security and the flexibility, which is exactly what you want in retirement. Now, diversifying, income sources gives those retirees the stability that they need, but here's where things really kind of come together. So when you look at how maybe the top retirees bring all 3 strategies together, the backward budgeting, the front loading, and the diversified income, you really can start to see why their plans work so well because they're not just relying on just one tactic. So they're not just doing one thing right. They're connecting all of the dots. And here's how it fits together. It starts with backward budgeting. So deciding what kind of life they want in retirement, then calculating what it's going to take to support that lifestyle. And once that's clear, they use stable income sources to cover a good portion of their core expenses. Again, essentials like housing, food, insurance. And that kind of predictability, it reduces stress and it gives their plan structure. Then they look at front loading their experiences. So spending a little bit more in those early years when their energy and their health are at their peak, because that's when the return on those experiences, the memories, the meaning, the joy is its highest. So here's a picture of what that might look like. So this is a visual of someone's spending plan. So they can see a baseline of where their income is coming from and how it's going to change. And that's what lets them decide how much front loading of experiences can they afford? Because of course, they wouldn't want to front load at the maybe at the expense of having to make some unwilling future sacrifices or trade-offs. So they want to know that they're doing it wisely. So each strategy supports the next. The lifestyle plan shapes the income strategy. The income strategy gives confidence to spend. And the spending strategy reflects what matters most right now, not just what makes sense on paper. And when these three elements come together, you get a retirement plan that adjusts as life changes while still supporting your peace of mind. Now let's shift from why it works to how to do it. And this is the spending framework that turns ideas into action and really helps maximize both your wealth and your enjoyment in retirement. Here's what the most satisfied retirees do once they've built clarity around their goals. So step one, they start with a clear picture of their lifestyle, not just the cost, but the purpose behind it. And from there, they calculate what it takes to fund that type of lifestyle sustainably. So that's backwards budgeting. It's simple and it's tailored to them. Step two, they structure income to match that lifestyle, not the other way around. So that means leaning on stable income for consistency and using flexible income to adapt and enhance. So not maximizing every dollar on paper, but optimizing for real life use. Step three, they plan for when they'll spend, not just how much. Front loading becomes a built-in part of the plan, not an afterthought. They don't just do it off of a whim because they know that those early years, they matter most for the experiences they want to have, the connections they want to have, and the memory making. Okay, step four, they tie it all together, not as separate ideas, but as a system that's designed to evolve, because that's what real planning does. It adjusts, it reflects your values, and it puts you in control. And this is effective because it's not just intentional, it's personal. It's not just rigid, it's flexible. It's not one size fits all. It's designed to change with you, especially as life changes and as your desires and goals change. And when you work with someone who knows how to build spending plans around more than just rates of return, you gain more than a financial plan. You gain a retirement that feels like it was built for you. So now that you understand how top retirees are approaching spending, so with backward budgeting, front-loading experiences, and diversified income, you can start to build a plan that's both intentional and rewarding. So it's one that really helps you to preserve your wealth and enjoy the retirement that you've worked so hard for. And if you want help developing a comprehensive spending framework that incorporates these top retiree strategies, click the link below and you can watch a detailed video that we've created, and it walks you through exactly how to build your dream retirement with optimal spending strategies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.